So the Cat in the Hat. You may have heard this story, a nonsensical story about a cat that teaches children how to read. So what is it about this movie that would make this any different? Well, that is why I will be going over all of the hidden secret symbolisms in the Cat in the Hat live-action movie that are oftentimes overlooked due to its humor style and silly antics. You can tell because the quote on the cover only says, "Enormously funny." So, let's unpack what this movie is really about. This video uses Cat in the Hat movie clips under fair use for the purpose of commentary and analysis. All rights belong to Universal Pictures.
You mean like at
Universal Studios?
Right at the beginning, we open with world building and Dr. Seussically accurate stylization. And the big glaring theme that we can go ahead and take note of is the color scheme. Primarily, green indicating cleanliness and order, while purple indicates messiness and chaos. So, let's just keep that in mind. Very early on, we see this statue of a bride and groom, which looks very similar to Joan Walden and Larry Quinn. Let's also keep that in mind. We are introduced to Mr. Humberflube, the most rule-abiding character who is also Joan's manager, and demonstrates an extreme fear of germs along with repetitive behaviors. Most notably, he repeats the number 2.
Attention everyone! It's 9:02! Staff meeting! Staff meeting!
As you know, tonight is our bi-monthly meet and greet party.
And we can see accordingly, he is dressed in all green, and so is the hand sanitizer. We are introduced to Jim McFlanagan, who is dressed in all purple, and is immediately fired by Mr. Humberflube for shaking his hand, causing everyone in the office to be shook. This is the first introduction to the idea of messiness and cleanliness metaphorically shaking hands, yet we clearly see that there is conflict between them. We are then presented with the next conflict between Joan, her role as a parent, and her role as an employee, as Mr. Humberflube demands her house be clean or else
You're fired!
Joan is a real estate agent. A massive plot point in this story is the status of the house, and Joan's job is literally houses. Humberflube's control over the fate of Joan's house is reiterated by the nature of the real estate office. And here we get to see more stylization as we're introduced into this liminal space aesthetic neighborhood. This movie is very cartoon-coded because it's written and delivered in a way that stylistically brings cartoon elements into a live-action context.
It's kind of like a doorway which leads from this world to my world.
At the house, we get straightforward introductions to the siblings, Sally and Conrad, bringing up a significant character foil once again. Sally being overly perfectionistic while narrating all of her list making over top of Conrad's chaotic montage of him essentially wrecking the house. We also see more foreshadowing, this time towards As for Sally, not only does she wear green, she wears green layered on top of purple, as if she's covering something up, with excessive perfectionism. Then of course, Conrad causes problems on purpose and gets in trouble, while Sally enjoys the fact that rules do exist, because it gives her a structure. And then we meet the contributing factor in Conrad's behavior, Lawrence Quinn, most often referred to as Larry Quinn, dressed in all purple, ready to make a mess. Although Quinn insists on being called
Hey, sport. Call me Lawrence, okay?
Conrad, of course, does not do this. This is because Conrad is the only person at this point who can see past Larry's facade, while everyone else says Lawrence, hinting towards the false persona that Larry puts on for other people. Basically, what Larry's goal is to get with Joan by pretending to be someone that he is not, and get rid of the children by attempting to get them in trouble, resulting in them being sent to a military school. Yeah. Then he exits with this weird walk, trying to insinuate that this is where he is going to send Conrad. We also see later on that Kat consistently calls Conrad by the wrong name as a second reference to Conrad not listening.
I don't have to listen to you, Larry.
That means they're almost done, Conrad.
Conrad.
That's what I said, Condor.
And the real reason why Conrad does not listen to Joan is because Joan does not listen to him.
Mom, that guy's a total phony. You can't let Larry...
It's Lawrence, Conrad.
After Joan is called back into work and Mrs. Kwan, the babysitter, arrives, we see more conflicts among the main characters. Sally being controlling towards her friends and refusing to speak with them, completely blindsided by her own bossy behavior.
She talked back to me, so I ordered her not to speak to me anymore.
And you don't like bossy?
I won't tolerate it.
Joan's disappointment towards Conrad, who is doing the opposite of what she says, and
I wish I had a different mom.
Well, sometimes I wish the same thing.
this is what gets the whole movie started. We can even see Larry's car in the background as Joan contemplates how to handle the situation. After Joan leaves, Larry removes a fake green tie, then he runs back inside the house like a cartoon villain. One of the reasons why the setup in The Cat in the Hat is so effective is because we have not just one, but 3 antagonists introduced right off the bat. Mr. Humberflug, Larry Quinn, and Mrs. Kwan were also introduced to the conflict very early, making it extremely easy to see the flaws that the main characters have. Now, we have our third antagonist, Mrs. Kwan, and I know some of you may be thinking, Fruit, Mrs. Kwan doesn't do anything, so why is she an antagonist? Well, that is exactly why she is an antagonist. We've spent this entire 15-ish minutes being introduced to all of these conflicts, and what does Mrs. Kwan do? Nothing.
I'm not doing anything!
Exactly!
Her job is to watch Conrad and Sally, which she absolutely does not do. Instead, she watches the Taiwanese parliament, which implies that Kwan is the person in power over the kids, because according to Sally,
In a constitutional monarchy, Parliament has all the real power.
so the kids decide to stare out the window as it rains, which emphasizes their emotional conflict, as well as the stagnance surrounding them in their environment. They are looking outside as a means to escape their situation, yet all they are able to see within their current perspectives is gloom. However, just like Conrad and Sally, Mrs. Kwan has a character foil, and the character who foils her would be none other than Kat, showing up shortly after she forfeits her job. Before we get to Kat though, we first need to understand why he is here. We've already seen the imbalance between order and chaos, and while that is the main theme of this story, the other main themes going on here have to do with rules and roles. Do the rules exist because they actually suit the characters' needs, or do they exist only to control the characters? Kat even comes with his own contract, and lawyers who look similar to Dr. Seuss. And this is a contract that they all consistently go by, almost as if they are going by Kat's rules once they sign it. And this brings us to another character foil to Kat's rules, which is Fish. Fish constantly brings up what the outside expectations of the rules are, in a very inflexible and fearful manner.
This cat should not be here. He should not be about. He should not be here when your mother is out.
While Cat actually uses a more individual and personalized system to make sense of everything. Notice how Conrad begins flicking the fish's bowl on purpose, the same way he intentionally breaks external rules and sort of pokes at them, which prompts Sally to say,
Quit bothering the fish.
Translation: quit breaking the rules. Since Sally is one to follow the outside rules too strictly, Conrad and Fish are the only characters represented by orange, which could indicate the rules, since Conrad also has a habit of making his own. And the orange room in the house is where the rules are discussed and the contract gets signed. So, in order to stop Conrad and Sally from arguing about all this, we hear
Then something went bump.
What was that?
the force that will now resolve this conflict. This guy. And I know what you may be thinking.
Scream and run.
Now, hear me out. It's perfectly normal to run or get scared when you are confronted with a problem. And that is why Cat is supposed to be chaotic. Not only is this intentional symbolically, it is also consistent with his source material. The color representing Cat and everything he is connected to is red. That is because red is a warning sign. And now that Cat is in the house, the very first thing he does is replicate Conrad's indoor stair luge. Except he does this without making a mess. He then uses the phonometer to diagnose the kids with a vibe check, and by saying, "You can't have fun without you in the middle," Cat is saying, in order to be balanced, you have to be in the middle. You can juggle work and play, but you have to know the way. Cat is doing the opposite of what Mrs. Kwan is doing, which is still nothing. Cat is doing everything, actually, and he's very quick to make a mockery of Mrs. Kwan by referring to her as an inanimate object multiple times.
And this is the lumpiest couch I ever sat on. Who is this dreadfully uncomfortable woman? We just need a heavy, inanimate object to weigh down this crate. There. You pay this woman to sit on babies?
That's disgusting.
I do it for nothing.
And Cat is doing it for nothing, because he actually does care. And we can even fast forward to them sitting on the babysitter. Got him! Saying, "I survived the Kwan," is also very telling. Cat dismisses Kwan in the same way she chooses to dismiss the children. She's like the equivalent of one of those substitute teachers who doesn't do anything and just plays a movie. And the very first character dialogue in this movie is,
Babysitters don't leave, they sit. Baby leavers leave.
the baby leaver on the phone is named Amy,
Thank you, Amy.
which is the name of the actor Amy Hill who plays Mrs. Kwan. Now, remember when I said the other theme is about roles? Well, now that we've seen what the characters' roles are, let's take a look at Cat's multiple roles, because his sense of identity is extremely flexible. While he does use many different personas, they are referred to as Cat, me, the guy in the sweater who asks all the obvious questions. Why is this? Well, it is because Cat does not have an attachment to an ego. He can easily fill in for Mrs. Kwan's role because Mrs. Kwan is not doing her role. The reason why Cat uses different personas is for two main reasons. One, he is not attached to his role, and two, he allows himself to represent more than one thing. while still identifying as himself. The other characters we've met are representing one side of an extreme. They take their roles quite seriously. And the way Cat is able to counter this is because he does not need anything.
Anything? Yes, anything!
Everything that comes from Cat feels chaotic due to a lack of control. But is he worried about that? Is he trying too hard? No. Because Cat actually trusts himself. He trusts his own rules. And he trusts that things will naturally fall into place because he does not try to control anything. What he does do is show people things, and what people choose to do with that information is completely up to them. This is what makes Cat a true teacher, and this is why his focus is not on himself. Instead, his focus is on connecting ideas into what represents broader things. He becomes a mechanic when he wants to unpack Conrad and Sally's hidden mess. Whether his goal is to make cupcakes, rescue a dog, or to play into whatever the situation calls for, his detachment really shows how important it is to step outside of your role, because you are not controlled by just one thing. You become the influence that you have on everything. And people who do not take their roles too seriously are oftentimes very wise for doing this. People who do take their roles too seriously, represented by Larry Quinn specifically, are oftentimes compensating for a lack of something else. And in contrast to Cat's lack of ego, Quinn represents narcissistic qualities.
Get out of my way, you hippie freak.
Larry's entire role is actually fake. This also ties into a new theory as to why so many people perceive Cat as scary. Because to a lot of people, the concept of breaking down the ego or identity feels threatening. For all of the reasons I just mentioned about roles and our attachment to them. A character who defies these attachments is a character who challenges a person's sense of self, especially when cleverly contrasted to a primary antagonist like Larry Quinn. And now we move on to see more contrast between Cat and Fish. Fish acts as Sally's inner monologue here. We see the angle of him being below Sally because
Sally, you're better than fun. Fun is beneath you.
While Cat is above them, and completely throws that fear Fish away. Fish continues to remind everybody of the outer system's existence, while Cat continues to make his own rules and even his own words, again, consistent with his source material.
I will deblockerize and de-obstructivate this roadway. I deeply deplore any inconvenientalities that I may have caused you, Mr. Greenface.
Funny how Fish and Cat also have a stronger parental dynamic than anyone else in this film.
Bravo, Cat.
The fish is talking.
Well, sure he can talk, but is he saying anything?
Because Cat often plays around with Fish in the same way he plays around with the system structure. And this dynamic gives us a lot of insight into Sally's fears, Conrad's frustration, and the balance between learning how to actually work with the rules in a way that does make sense, rather than being completely controlled by them, or by breaking every single one. Then we get to Larry Quinn once again, continuing to be the main conflict. He calls Sally Princess after she specifically told him,
Oh, I don't want to be a princess. In a constitutional monarchy, Parliament has all the real power.
Implying that he is calling her powerless in this situation. However, the fact that Quinn is allergic to cats speaks volumes about Cat's ability to see through Larry's problematic behavior, which obviously poses a threat to Larry, making him allergic to Cat. Zynga! Sally then mentions making cupcakes, which they do, resulting in a purple explosion. This reflects Sally's original plan to make cupcakes with her friend, which was busted due to her overly controlling behavior. Sally is able to realize this when she finally sees that she was not invited to her friend's party, while she is wearing more green this time, hinting at her gaining more self-awareness and order in regards to her overly controlling behavior. This is important because it shows us that Sally is genuinely still interested in making cupcakes.
I want to make cupcakes!
And spending time with her friend.
How come Denise didn't invite me to her birthday?
Yet, both of these things continue to be denied to her, and it is because of the fact that she blocks herself. This is exactly what perfectionism does. It prevents people from doing things that they would otherwise enjoy or have no problem with doing, even if it's something they really want to do. As for Conrad's self-awareness, it is directly stated that things 1 and 2 are referencing his behavior of doing the exact opposite of what he is told.
Why do they always do the opposite? That's so annoying!
Remind you of anyone, Conrad?
And this is because things 1 and 2 are actually mimics. That's right. They take on the identities of other characters while imitating English. Thing 2 goes by a list of multiple names, and the things are primarily a reflection of Sally and Conrad's mess, which adds up nicely when we consider Kat's identity-shifting behavior. Kat introduces things 1 and 2 to Conrad and Sally, but also introduces Conrad and Sally to each other, and then he introduces himself to himself. Why? Because these are a bunch of reflections, especially when the things cosplay as the kids. Things 1 and 2 are also red, which ties into the warning, and the thing's behavior results in purple splotches all over the green house, the same way that Conrad seems to wreck the house. Both of these situations are Kat's way of indirectly presenting Conrad and Sally's messes right to them, which ironically the kids are very put off by.
Yeah, they're horrible! Who wants some? Come on.
Emphasizing their true opinions about the current state of how they have both been behaving. Even though Conrad decides to keep being defiant and open the crate to Kat's alternate universe, which is very interesting lore because it implies that Kat canonically travels through different worlds, the present one being the live-action one. So we can naturally assume that the world he is originally from is the cartoon world. And this detail acts as a tie-in to the existence of all of the other pre-established lore surrounding Kat. That's right, he is the real deal. We also see later on multiple times that Kat is very aware that he is in a movie.
You mean like at Universal Studios? Cha-ching!
And as a result of Conrad opening this crate to the Cat in the Hat AU, which is also red because it is another warning, this causes the mother of all messes. The physical manifestation of the mess that Conrad has caused for his mom by breaking the rules. And of course, this mess is purple. And while all that is going on, we see a glimpse of what Larry's living situation is actually like. Speaking of messes, his mirror reflects the purple suit, symbolizing that this is the image Quinn wants to show to other people, in contrast to how he really is. We see beverages he stole from Joan after he just called out Conrad and Sally for jumping on their couch. Look at this guy's couch. Then he removes fake teeth, implying that his words are fake, and they sit in the frame while he is on the phone with Joan, keeping up this facade as he speaks with her. If Larry actually did care about Joan, Obviously, he would not be calling her at work to tell her about her dog being loose. If his true intention was to help her, he'd just bring the dog back again, especially since he already demonstrated that he has access to her house. He's attempting to create the narrative that the kids are bad and that he's the one saving everything, because, well, it's pretty obvious by now that he's interested in Joan's money. Larry's whole purple persona is only being used by him as a means to cover up his mess. And this is in contrast again to the way Cat uses his personas for the entirely opposite reason. All of Cat's personas are reflecting true aspects of his identity as a means of heightened self-expression and versatility within his own personality. Even the way Cat chooses to handle Quinn is by using one of his self-expressive personas to counteract the use of Quinn's manipulative one. Bro just straight up Looney Tunes tricks this guy. They also go into this underground dance club that has the same photo of a squirrel that is inside the Walden's house. At first this seems kind of random, but if you pay attention to the people, we see this lady dressed in a similar outfit to the one that Cat wears when he is easy like Sunday morning. And with everyone else wearing some kind of cat in the hat themed And with everyone else wearing some kind of cat in the hat I can't, dude, I can't. And with everyone else wearing some kind of cat in the hat themed attire, with Larry trying to navigate through all of them. This could actually be some kind of symbolism for Larry's persona being too one-dimensional and flimsy to keep up with Cat. Either that, or it could be the club Cat goes to when he wants to do his Smash Mouth dance tutorial. Yes, this is a real part of the DVD. But basically, Cat's identity is used to highlight things about him that are true multidimensional aspects of his personality, while Larry is incapable of improving because he refuses to acknowledge his faults and only uses his persona to cover things up, which also contrasts with what Conrad and Sally are doing by improving, which is even further emphasized by how insistent Larry is on getting rid of them. And now we can see the wedding statues in the middle of the group as they retrieve the dog from Larry, just as a reminder that Quinn's pursuit of the unhealthy relationship is rapidly approaching. Conrad successfully begins to realize the mess he has instigated, as he grows to understand that rules exist for a reason. This results in the group ending up with Larry's car, which is a reference to the car that Cat actually drives in his animated counterpart, which could imply he stole it from Larry all along.
I drove!
And then we get to this line right here.
A little voice inside of me is saying, this is a bad idea. But I can barely hear that little voice because an even louder little voice is screaming, let the 12-year-old drive!
This gives us a lot of insight into Cat's decision-making process, because Cat does have a conscience, and instead of listening to what sounds bad, he prioritizes letting the 12-year-old drive, because that is the way he actually teaches the kids. And he even offers both of them the driver's wheel at the same time. Then Cat says, we should all drive, implying that each person can follow their own set of rules. And it's only after Conrad becomes fully self-aware that he then drives Larry's car on his own. By this point, the mess at the house has escalated, to which then Conrad says to Sally,
I can't save you unless you let go! Okay!
By saying, I can't save you unless you let go, Conrad is implying that Sally has to let go of control in order to resolve her imbalance. Just as Conrad closes the crate he was meant to leave closed, in the first place. Now the kids have successfully understood their lesson, resulting in their inner balance. Then Cat reveals he set up everything, and is now here to fix the rest of the physical mess that Sally and Conrad have metaphorically fixed on their own this time, by following the contract. The contract being their own rules. This also reveals the reason why Cat can be so chaotic, because he actually does know that everything will be okay. This is because he has his own system that he can rely on. We see that the old version of the house is destroyed, and the new one is rebuilt, much like Sally and Conrad's behaviors and relationship, as well as the relationship with their mom. And of course, Cat decides to fix all of this, because it ties in literally to him helping the kids resolve these aspects of their lives. It is genuinely scary to confront the fact that a problem does exist, and oftentimes, whatever that thing is, must be torn apart in order for it to get better. And that is exactly what this story demonstrates very well. Cat even calls Conrad and Sally by their real names at this point, because this is the healthiest version of them that we were meant to see all along. Eventually, Larry shows up absolutely covered in purple, still trying to cling to his false persona, and failing because it is not real, much like the statues.
Will you marry me, Joan?
Mrs. Kwan still does nothing, and learned absolutely nothing. Why? Because she's nothing. She's also purple. By the end of the movie, the house is green, Sally is green, everything is clean. We get hints of purple from the cupcakes, showing us Sally's character development. Fish is having fun, implying that Sally is as well. Humberflube is no longer dressed in green, and demonstrates a healthier balance between himself and others, even wiping his hand with a purple napkin, showing us that the bridge between messiness and cleanliness has begun to reach a much healthier compromise. And Joan is not fired. We now see that the family is still able to have fun and enjoy themselves in a way that is healthy and balanced, which means Cat has successfully done his job, almost as if he created a lasting effect not only on the kids, but also on the nature of the rest of the world around them. And that is the end. And now, just for further proof that these details are all intentional.
But you're still smoking way too many cigars.
No chewing tobacco.
Thanks, Mom. You have my word.
Try something spontaneous.
Number 4, be spontaneous.
But I'm gonna marry your mom.
That's my mom.
Awkward.
We also see these 3 books Cat juggles in his song: Cats for Cat, Pictorial Atlas of the World for Sally, and Teaching Manners for Conrad. Everything mentioned in this video is all my own personal interpretations. So, this is my take on the Cat in the Hat live action movie that I have found through neurodivergently watching this movie way too many times. If there is anything you noticed about the Cat in the Hat that I did not mention in this video, I would love to hear about it so much in the comments. And I hope this analysis provides an explanation as to why I found the portrayal to be accurate and also superior to its source material. While Cat's story is originally portrayed as very nonsensical, what this movie did was create an in-depth meaning with tons more characterization, giving us many more diverse characters with themes that we can connect to Cat in order to properly emphasize him and tell us what his purpose is. And the fact that many people do have a problem with Cat is funny. It's almost as if it actually is perfect, because in comparison to the original, Cat in the live-action movie is surprisingly empathetic. Aww. Which is why I am here to tell you, Cat in the Hat is chaotic good. It is okay to have fun, it is okay to be quirky, and it is okay to do something that not everybody will understand, while keeping in mind the balance of what the rules are and what is healthy for you and for everyone. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have found it as fun and insightful as this movie has done for me. Stay quirky, stay swaggy, and see you next time.
That's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning.